But in order for busy people or ADHD or kids or anything like that, like don't overcomplicate it and make sure you're asking the right questions. So if all of the family puts their socks and shoes on in the morning downstairs, have a system for it, right? Like there's no point of having something so complicated that's upstairs that's not going to last if they can get their shoes and socks on in the morning and get out the door. So I think it's one, asking the right questions, how they live in the space, what their expectations are, and then just keeping it as simple as possible so they can maintain it. Because once it gets overcomplicated, it gets overwhelming, which means that they freeze and then it goes back to square one.
What's up and welcome to the Speak Organized podcast. I'm your host, Melanie Summers, professional organizer, ADHD organizing specialist, and your go-to gal for all things pro organizing business. I like to speak organized to give you the tools to conquer your clutter, live life with more purpose, and learn all about the business of tidying. Do me a favor, if you haven't already, take out your device and tap that subscribe button so you become a member of the Speaker fam. If you're watching today's episode on YouTube, you can tap that thumbs up as you get value out of today's episode, and don't forget to tap the notification bell so that you're notified whenever we post new content every single week. If you're an Apple Podcast user, go ahead and leave us that rave 5-star review so that we can reach more amazing folks just like you who are looking to live out their dreams and run that professional organizing business successfully. Lastly, if you have not joined my free Facebook group, that's a great place to get started and get those general questions answered. The group is growing in rapid numbers every day with tons of really generous, amazing folks just like you who are interested in learning more about organizing and running a successful organizing business. I'll make sure the link to that is down in the description of the video and the podcast show notes. As a reminder, the main mission here at I Speak Organized is to give you the best quality tools and resources to help you start or level up your organizing business and truly feel confident and successful to make 6 or 7 figures without spending all of your time working on your business. So you can actually spend time with your family, work on your hobbies, you can travel, whatever it is. I am here to help provide those resources. And maybe you're telling yourself some story today, like I can't charge what that person charges, or I'm not good at marketing, or whatever it happens to be. I am here to help you understand that you can be exceptional with the right tools and training. So in just a few minutes, I'm going to share with you the ways in which I can help you get over those hurdles and punch that imposter syndrome feeling in the face. But first, let's get into this awesome interview. All right, Speaker fam. What's up? Let's welcome our friend Becky McKenna, my friend. She's actually my friend. This is so fun. And she is from Happy to Help Home Organizing, and she's based in Orlando, Florida. She's not in Orlando right now, thankfully, because at the time of filming, we're in the middle of hurricane season. So Becky, thank you for being safe and welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited. I'm excited to talk all things organizing.
Me too. I know. This is so fun because I just saw you like 3 weeks ago in Austin at the How To Summit. So we got to chill and hang out and be inspired. And we had a lot of things to chat about. And now we get to come on the podcast and share all about it. So
I'm excited.
With that being said, shall we dive in?
I think so. I think it's time.
All right, let's do it, sister. So I always like to start off with kind of a bit of a background on my guests. And because I'm fascinated, I say this all the time, by the paths that led us to becoming a professional organizer. So obviously you have a background in interior design and event management, which is very unique, but makes sense. So how did those experiences influence your approach to organizing, and what exactly prompted you to start Happy to Help Organizing?
Yeah, so good questions. I had my degree, I still have my degree in interior design. I originally got my event management position to pay off my student loans from design. And I just fell in love with it. And I kept doing it. And then I kept growing in the company and taking on more and more projects, taking on more and more event positions. And crazy thing, I don't know if anybody remembers this, but COVID happened. So there was kind of like a downturn of jobs and positions. And I was one of the lucky ones that they said, we're just going to pause this for a minute. We'll revisit this. And I had a little bit of a grace period to start over almost. And I've always loved helping people just in general. I loved planning. I loved being there for support for any friend or family, whether that was like organizing or design. And I took a leap of faith and I was like, I am
Mhm.
going to start this. Originally, it was a design business. I'm going to do design. I'll do some organizing. And now it's been 3 years. And I think I've done one design project.
Oh,
So
wow.
organizing took everything and it took over and it was amazing. It was a huge blessing. And when I started, I said, I'll just try it out. I'll just see how it goes, play around with it. And from the minute that I booked or the minute that I put up my website, that's
Mhm.
when it all happened. It was insane. It was
Wow.
insane in a good way. So yeah.
Meant to be, meant to be. Yeah, organizing really does take over. Obviously, it's such an important thing that everyone needs. It's a
Yeah.
service that is so essential. And that's essentially what we're going to be talking about today. Becky and I are like your hype girls for like if you're on the fence or you don't really understand the true impact of hiring an organizer. That's exactly what we're going to talk about today. And so that's kind of leads me into my next question. So many people obviously wonder about the true benefits of hiring a professional organizer. We obviously know the impact and the life-changing aspect of it. So from your perspective, what are the most transformative benefits that your clients experience when they bring you into their home?
Simply peace and clarity. There are so many different scenarios where someone would need an organizer or want an organizer, right? Because at the end of the day, we are a luxury service, quote unquote. But when you have clients that are going through a life change, whether that's upsizing, downsizing, sending your kids off to school, going through a divorce, at any point in your time where you feel like you've hit a block in your house, that's when it's time to call one of us and say, like,
Mhm.
hey, I'm struggling with this. Because I think a lot of people think professional organizers are there just to make a Pinterest perfect pantry. And that's not it. Like, we're there for, and I always say this, we're there for the guts. Like, we're there for the bad parts so we can get you to the good parts. Like, we want to celebrate and we want to cry with you at the same time. And it's an emotional journey for people. It really is. But
Mhm.
that's the most beneficial part is that you have a co-pilot with you the entire time. And when you have someone with you in your space, you're more likely to get the stuff done that you want to get done in your home. So it's
Yeah.
just,
Gosh, I love that. I love that idea that you're there for the guts,
yeah.
the good, the bad, and the ugly, right?
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. And like, I think sometimes Instagram or social media, we have to post the nice pictures because, we want people to feel calm when they see it, but we're not always doing the pretty stuff. We do
Mhm.
everything.
Right, more often than not, it's not the pretty stuff,
Yep.
unfortunately, for a
Yeah.
lot of us. Yeah, absolutely. So, that's a perfect segue kind of into the next question, which sort of centers around that relationship that you build with your clients. Because as you pointed out, we're not just going in to manage the stuff. There's often emotional attachment to things. There's trauma. There's huge life transitions. If you're having a baby, that's a big deal. Or if you've lost a loved one, it's a big deal. And those are things that it's nice to have, as you mentioned, that co-pilot in the chair next to you navigating that. So you
Yeah.
mentioned, you and I've talked about this before, that many of your clients actually become friends. And I've had that happen. That's also such a blessing of what we do. And so
Yeah.
some even reach out months later. We definitely want to know how you make that happen because that's hello, retainer client. Super important. So, what do you think is the key? What are you doing that is helping you build such a strong, lasting relationship with your clients?
Sure. So in general, I'm a chatty Cathy, no matter what. If you are a stranger at the grocery store, I'll still tell you that I like your shoes and ask you where you got them from. So talking to people for me has become, well, it's always been really easy. So when I am making those initial phone calls or the initial consultations, I just genuinely love getting to know people. I love the uniqueness that everybody has in their own house. And it's so fascinating to me how every single person lives differently.
Mm.
So, understanding that we're all humans and treating them like my friends and my family and doing the regular check ins of, obviously you're not texting your clients every day, asking them how they're doing and, telling them that you love them. But
Maybe you are. I don't know. So I
sometimes,
can think of a couple of clients that I do that.
yeah, sometimes, not all of them.
Yeah, definitely not.
Some of them. So yeah, so just having just genuine conversations. Like if you know that they're celebrating a birthday that weekend for their baby who's turning 1, like a couple weeks later, how is it going? Like how was the birthday party? Just having those little meaningful conversations, not because you feel like you have to, but because you want to. Because even though our clients are hiring us, at the end of the day, when we're done with their project, we have become a part of their family, whether we like to admit it or not. Where,
Mhm.
some jobs are just one and done, and you do a pantry and you're on your merry way. But for the most part, I feel like once you get into that pantry, you're also doing the whole entire house eventually. And I love hearing from my clients. I have to say, when the hurricane was going on, so many of my clients were texting me, and it was just so
Mhm.
heartwarming because I was also doing the same thing of, how are you? If you need anything, let me know. And again, it's not I feel like I have to do this because it's business. I genuinely care about them. And I think that's what sets a business and a one-on-one small company business apart. The one man
Yeah.
show. It makes it feel so much more personable.
Oh, absolutely. And you can tell the difference between when somebody views you as a transaction versus views you as somebody that they actually are invested in as a person.
Yeah.
People are not dumb. They can tell the difference, right? So it's important not to treat people as your next sale or your next transaction. That's, such a huge thing
Yep. Yep.
that I think we can get distracted by, trying to close that sale and
Yeah.
getting all up in our heads and down in the weeds with the metrics and all that good stuff. So it's good that I'm glad that you mentioned to kind of just bring it back to center of what we're really trying to achieve here with the people in our community, right?
Yep, because at the end of the
Yeah,
day, we're trying to
absolutely.
help. We just want to make them feel better, not only about themselves, but how they are represented outside of their house and both inside their
Mhm.
house. Because I'm sure you've heard this a million times. Like, my house is nothing of what my personality is. Like, I'm put together, I'm good. I have a really important job, and my house is a disaster. And we're like, okay, let's go. Let's get to
Yep.
work and
Yeah.
let's make both of these happen.
Right. Okay, pop quiz time. How would you feel 6 months from now if you were sitting in this exact same spot, sipping on your favorite beverage, running your own professional organizing business, and it was booked out with amazing clients that get you excited to get out of bed in the morning? How would that make you feel? But let me guess, there is something holding you back, right? Like that voice of imposter syndrome that whispers, who am I to do this? Well, let me tell you, I have been there, and it is not only possible to overcome those fears, it's essential because your future clients need somebody exactly like you. And remember that I am here to help you with proven tools and strategies to get you where you want to be in this industry if you're willing to follow my lead. My brand new mini course, From Overlooked to Overbooked, is designed to help you overcome your imposter syndrome, turn your website into a client magnet with SEO strategies that actually work, skyrocket your social media presence without that uncomfortable buy my stuff energy, and confidently network like a pro, all while building genuine connections that feel as natural as making friends. It's all self-paced and comes with a workbook full of done-for-you scripts and templates that are proven to generate leads, help you sound confident, and convert all of that into cash in your wallet. And if you want to get paying clients in the door faster, you can also pick up my Done For You Pro Organizer Forms pack designed specifically for professional organizers with 9 custom templates, including a client agreement, payment authorization form, follow-up email scripts, and so much more. You use a free Canva account to add your business info, branding touches, and then you're basically ready to go for your next project. And as a special gift for being an amazing part of my speaker fam, you're going to get $8 off both the Overbooked course and my Pro Organizer Forms pack using code YTPRO8 at checkout. All that info will be down in the description and the podcast show notes. Lastly, if you're kind of nervous about taking payments for jobs and you know you need to take cards from clients, then I've got a tool that is going to make your day. Project to Payment is my favorite invoicing and customer management tool that's actually easy to use. With just one tool, you get paid faster, create seamless professional customer experiences, and you get access to estimates, invoices, payments. They've got super fast payout for a healthy cash flow, QuickBooks integration, and to top it all off, you get the best and friendliest US-based customer support to walk you through any hiccups or questions. And there's so many more features that they have coming online every single month. You work hard to organize for your clients, so doesn't your business deserve the same? Obviously, the answer is yes. And so Project to Payment is only $20 a month, and they have the most competitive and transparent processing fees in the industry. And trust me, I have tried them all. And if that weren't enough, when you go to projecttopayment.com/I speak organized, you're going to get 3 months completely free just to try it out. So you're welcome. That's it. No more reinventing the wheel. These resources are plug and play and allow you to access what works while avoiding the pitfalls as much as possible. Remember that investing in yourself is the first step to showing your clients that they should invest in you. So don't let another moment pass you by to become the business owner that your future clients need. You're only one decision away from becoming booked, busy, and well-equipped to crush it in the professional organizing industry. Yes, so important. Yes, which is perfect leading into this next idea here. Obviously, we have high standards for ourselves as organizers. There's a little bit of perfectionist mentality going on, for better or for worse. It is what it is. I think it's, more of a benefit than a deficit in most cases. So we want to do a good job. We want to produce lasting results that really is truly in our hearts. We don't want to set somebody up with a system that they can't maintain. So obviously, it's one thing to organize a space, like you said, one and done pantry and you're good to go. But it's another thing for clients to maintain that organization over time. And I love to ask this question because I love hearing different organizers' philosophies on how you ensure that systems that you implement are easy for clients to maintain. So what are you doing? How is that happening for you with your clients?
Keep it simple. So I think that the perception of what we do is very detailed, right? Like we take a whole entire space and we organize all said space. But in order for busy people or ADHD or kids or anything like that, like don't overcomplicate it and make sure you're asking the right questions. So if all of the family puts their socks and shoes on in the morning downstairs, have a system for it, right? Like there's no point of having something so complicated that's upstairs that's not going to last if they can get their shoes and socks on in the morning and get out the door. Same thing for the kitchen or the pantry. Like if they want the pantry done, are they going to take time to unbox everything and put it in the perfectly placed area, or do they just need it to function where all of the pasta is in one container? So I think it's one, asking the right questions, how they live in the space, what their expectations are. Maybe they do want it all color coded, or I don't know, their underwear folded in rainbow order. And then some people are like, just throw it in there. Like as long as all the
Right.
underwear is in there, just put it in there. That's great. And then just keeping it as simple as possible so they can maintain it. Because once it gets overcomplicated, it gets overwhelming, which means that they freeze and then it goes back to square one. So
Right. Exactly. Yeah, I've found that ADHD organizing strategies work really well for everyone because they're so simplified
yeah,
that it's just, the goal is for me to be able to have my team teach the client how to organize and tidy up a space in 2 minutes or less.
yep,
Like that's the goal. So those systems have to be really simple and very streamlined in order to be able to achieve that in a large, if you're in the family room or something, it's a big room with multiple different things going on. 2 minutes or less, like some people think we're nuts.
right, right. But it's easy. It can be done.
It
Just
can
stop
be.
overcomplicating it. And that's where I think the block happens with clients is they're like, well, I have to have one individual thing for one individual thing. And it's like, no, 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 no. This is a general area. This is all block
Mhm.
toys. They're all going in the block toy box.
Right. Right. Yeah, and I'm curious to know if we can unpack this just a little bit more in terms of personalized solutions. So obviously, as you pointed out, every home and family is unique. Some people have kids, some people don't, some people have fur children. So your needs and the way you tailor your solutions to meet the specific needs are going to be different. But overall the goal is to create that stress-free and functional environment. So maybe you can share with us one of your favorite organizing solutions that works well for you that kind of
Mm.
exemplifies this simplification.
Yeah, so I would say kitchens are my jam. I love working in kitchens because in event management, I was also in the restaurant business. So I am always fascinated how many different small appliances there are, or like kitchen gadgets, or some households only have fresh food. Some households have snacks only. And, it's just every single house is different. So, again, it's coming back to that, like asking the right questions and customizing it for them too. Like, I don't know if you asked this question, but like, are you left-handed or are you right-handed? Do you grab your
Mhm.
utensils from the right side or the left side? So I think that when you go into a house and you ask those types of questions, which may seem silly, but once they see you doing it and they're like, I've never even thought about that before. I think that's where it really comes into play of listening to the client, listening to their expectations, and then giving that wow factor of like a finished kitchen where everything has its own home and they're like, this is it. Like I can maintain this because now it all makes sense. So
Mhm.
I'm very
Nothing better than that.
passionate about the kitchens.
Who isn't? Everybody needs to eat. Like, it's one of those things where you don't just do it once and then move on from it. Like, no, you have to eat every day, multiple times
Yeah.
a day, most of us. And that is really where all the action happens. And if you can have a kitchen well organized, I mean, it can make or break your whole day. Similarly to like organizing your bathroom and getting ready for the day. Those two spaces, I feel, I mean, whatever. We could go through all of them. The closet's important too. Just get your whole home done, people. Like,
Yeah.
point being, but yes, kitchen is so important.
Yep.
Oh, that's funny. So I want to move into case study a little bit. I love to hear success stories. If you can share something memorable about a client whose life was significantly changed by the work you did, let's inspire people. How did that transformation of their space impact their overall well-being?
Yeah, so I would say the one that really stands out is I had a client who had countless amounts of surgeries going on, health problems, and it was to the point where she called me. And I think everybody deals with this as an organizer. When they're making that phone call, they're ready to make a change, right? Like there's not a lot of pushing that we have to do.
Mhm.
So she made the call and she was like, listen, I have had all of these things going on. I cannot even fathom to like look at this and try to do this on my own. It's, and I'm sure we hear this too. I'm not a messy person. I swear I'm not like this all the time. I swear I am just way over my head. I'm exhausted and I know that I can't do it alone.
Mhm.
Cool. You called the right person. When can I come?
Right.
So,
Yes.
sweet angel, I mean, the amount that she was ready to let go of and just this simple, I don't even want to say simple help that I did, but like getting all of the donations out, getting all of the extra trash out, all of the things that she was not able to do on her own,
Mhm.
it brought tears to her eyes where she was like, this is what I've been needing for months. And this is it. You did this in one day. This is crazy that you were able to do this. I was like, well, you did it too because you're the one okaying getting rid of all of the clothes and extra things that are in the house. And then, weeks would go by, months would go by, and she would still send me pictures like, it's still looking good. It's still looking good.
Love that.
It's just, sometimes they just need a boost. Sometimes they just need a friend or a person there to be the co-pilot to tell them it's going to be okay and they're going to make it through. And that's what we do. And sometimes we're
Yeah.
therapists And sometimes we're the ones that are making all the jokes. So it's all different.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I think that's such an important thing to understand, especially for those who are just starting out and maybe working more one-on-one with clients. You are sort of an unqualified marriage therapist,
Yeah.
family counselor, and it really does go so much farther beyond the stuff to the point where I don't even think that clients really realize it until they dig in how much of a holistic change and transformation they're going to achieve
Yeah.
by dealing with their stuff because it holds memories, it holds trauma in some cases, it holds meaning beyond just the physical thing. And so having an understanding of what that really looks like is what makes us good at what we do and why it's so transformative, why everybody needs an organizer, right?
Yes. 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk a little bit more about the emotional side of organizing, because obviously it can be very personal at times, like we sort of have alluded to. It's an emotional process. So how do you approach those situations with care, ensuring that you're still being effective in your role? Because you need to get the job done, but you also have to talk them through things. Maybe they want to tell you some stories. So what does that look like for you? How do you do that?
Let them tell the story. That is,
Hmm.
not only do I love it when they bring out a picture or a picture box and they're like, oh, this is so and so. This was his grandpa. I love it. I let them talk about it. If they start crying, I naturally will start crying because I cry pretty much like 5 times a day for no apparent reason. So I I see a pretty flower and I'm like, oh my God, that's great. I love that. Um,
Yes.
so
Living in the moment, Becky.
it's so bad. So, I remember one time I had a client, I was helping her clean out her storage unit, her parents' storage unit, and they were big card givers. They gave cards for every holiday, every occasion. And she opened up a box and it was from her mom who had passed. And she's like, oh my
Mhm.
God. She's like, these are the cards she gave me when I was in college. And so we started reading some of them. And we were both sitting there crying. And I was like, okay, like this is great for you. I don't know if this is great for me because now I'm going to be crying the rest of the day, but it's fine. We'll work through it.
Mhm.
And I was like, we're all human, right? Like, let them cry about it, let them talk about it, and then let them kind of talk their way through it to the point where they know what to do on their own. I feel like that's
Mhm.
where some organizers might stop it early and they're like, okay, like, what do you want to do with it? Let them talk about it and ask, how do you feel about this? Is this something that
Right.
you still maybe want to keep for a little bit? Should we put it in I'm a big believer in the question mark pile of like, we don't have to decide now, but maybe at the end of our session or the end of all of our sessions, we can go through it again. But I feel like when you let them talk about it and kind of grieve it all over again or celebrate it all over again, then at the very end, they're like, but I don't need this anymore. Do you ever find that too?
Mhm.
Like as long as they can get out the words and the feelings, they can work through it on their own. And if you do have really reluctant people, I can't say that I really have had really reluctant people. And if it was something silly like, medication or something that's expired or things that they shouldn't have
Mhm.
to begin with. But memories, I think they're okay to keep some of them. That's my guilty
Mhm.
that's I'm guilty of that. If
Yeah.
as long as it has a place and it has a spot and maybe we can display it versus stick it in a clear container, let's do that. Let's bring it to life versus letting it sit dusty in a corner somewhere.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's so many things that you brought up just now that are really important. And I think that people need to hear, let them tell the story, first of all, is important because I've worked with other organizers who feel very guilty about that. They're like, I feel like I'm just, taking their money and I'm just sitting here, but they need to go through that process, as you said, of reliving the moments, both the good and the bad, because that is essential for them being able to let things go.
Yeah.
And so clearly that's a very successful strategy for you, as you're mentioning at the end of this segment here, that you're not really finding that your clients are having a super hard time letting things go because you actually sit and take the time to let them process it before making a decision, and that sometimes is all the permission that people need. Do you really feel that that's the case?
100%. And I think that was maybe like year 1, I had some moments where I was like, well, I feel awful that we spent and we chatted for half the time, but she also grieved and celebrated through that whole entire process too of that 6-hour session of telling stories, of crying,
Mhm.
of laughing, and being able to talk about it again for her to feel good about letting it go. I had a client
Mhm.
that had me sit on her office floor with her one day and shred her mother's paperworks that passed like 15 years prior. And she's like, I don't need this, but I
Mhm.
can't do it alone. So her and I sat and we shredded paper and she appreciated it. And I even had that little guilty part in me and she gave me a tip. So it's like, we feel guilty about this stuff because like what you said, we feel like we're wasting time or we're not using our time wisely, but that's what our clients want. Our clients want
Mhm.
us to be there. That's the time that's most valuable to them is the reassurance and the comfort.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. And if they're happy, we're happy. That's what I always tell my team. It's like, did they
100%.
seem upset?
Yeah.
No. Well, then, you did a good job.
Yeah.
So, and that's part of the whole thing. And so, obviously your background in event management probably helps with managing the expectations. I'm sure you had to deal with a lot of different emotions in
Mhm.
those situations. So, and I want to ask a little bit more about that because I feel like your experience as an event manager required a lot of planning, attention to detail.
Yeah.
So, in terms of the organizing environment, how do you feel that those skills translate to your organizing work when tackling large projects?
That's a good question. I love that question. So, events, obviously, if you've ever planned a wedding, I haven't ever planned my own, but I've planned many of them. But it's the
Mhm.
grand idea of it, right? It's the general planning. And then the closer we get, the more detailed we get. I think that's how we
Mhm.
look at a space. Let's say for like a garage, for instance, when there's stuff everywhere, it's like, okay, what is this as a whole? And then what are the little bits of details? Do you store food? Do you store tools? Do you store cars? Do you store sports things? Like the grand space plan and then down to the little details. And that's how it is, with events too. And there's a lot of coordinating on the back end of both organizing with your own business, right? Getting the product, sending the invoices, doing all of that. There's all the back end stuff. Same thing with the events of the sales, the planning, making sure you get paid from said event. So it's pretty similar, just in different scopes, which is kind of crazy to think about it that way. But I think the
Mhm.
one great thing that I got from events is that I am very confident in my value in this organizing business, that I know that I'm making a difference. And that's the same thing that I was with events. Like, I
Mhm.
know I'm going to make this magical for you and it's going to be great and you're going to have so much fun and you're not going to have to think about anything. And that's exactly how it is with organizing. Like the energy,
Mm.
the love, and the care, and just like my clients, I tell them, I'm like, you're, I will literally be the worst and best thing that's ever happened to you because you're not going to like me for a little bit, but you're going to really like me at the end. So I'm sorry, but you got to hang in there with me. And they're
Oh
like,
my
no,
gosh, I love how you frame that.
yeah, best and worst thing, just because, we can be a lot. All the questions that we have to ask, all the stuff that we're moving around in their house, it's a lot for them. But at the end of it, when they can see that, they're like, thank goodness I did this. So yeah.
Right. Don't you never get tired of hearing, wow, you were so right, do you?
No,
I don't get tired of that.
nobody does. Nobody does. Nope. Nope.
Mm-mm. I had never thought about from the event management perspective, like planning a wedding, for instance. I think that's a great analogy for thinking about how you're viewing the overall picture first. And then as you get closer to the event or you get closer to the completion, that's when you get into the more minute granular details. And I think that to me, that's just the perfect way of looking at organizing a space in terms of a process. So for anybody listening or watching that's trying to figure out like how the hell do you do this for a living, how do you do it professionally versus for yourself or for a friend and family member, that's a really great approach. So I wanted to point that out because I think that's really cool. And then speaking of organizing process, trends, I'm always trying to find what is new and late and great in the industry, and it's obviously ongoing education is extremely important for all of us. That's why we went to the summit in Austin. That's why we continue to meet in various parts of the country together a couple times a year to learn things. So, have you in particular noticed any shifts in what clients are looking for in terms of home organization? Are there any trends or changes in the industry that you're excited about, or what do you think?
I think, let's see. So I feel like when I first started, people had the expectation of the Pinterest pantry when we knew it wasn't going to be a Pinterest pantry for them, right? But they wanted it anyway.
Mhm.
I think
Mhm.
with the honesty and the raw examples that some people put on social media of, hey, this may look like this, but it's not going to look like this in real life. Um, I think more families are leaning more towards practical and simple than they are the complex. I need an individual container for each said granola bar or, something that's just not going to last. It does
Right.
not, it looks really pretty. It looks stunning. Please, if I can stare at a pantry that is in Roy G. Biv all day long, I will. But being practical, being simple, and being able to maintain, I think is becoming more and more popular of just streamline it that way versus overcomplicating it.
Mhm.
So, and the products, I mean, products are great to put in the space. We love it. The containers are great, solid, clear, whatever one that they want to do.
Mhm.
But I crack up when I see these like very, very tiny, intricate little containers that are not going to last at all. That will hold like 3 lipsticks and that's it.
Yeah.
It's not gonna
Oh
work.
my gosh, I know.
Don't do it.
I know, man. I just as a quick story, I had a client who owned a bakery years ago, and she made cookies specifically, and man, they were good. Like I must have gained like 20 pounds working for her because she sent me home with cookies all the time and they were just absolutely delicious. Anyway, she had purchased, because a lot of people that hire organizers appreciate being organized. They buy a lot of organizing products, but they don't necessarily know how to use them. And she bought this caddy for all of her piping nozzles, for piping frosting and things. And every single thing, like every single nozzle had its own little like dot that you would stick the nozzle onto. And she had like 4 kids under the age of 12, and she was running her cookie business out of her home, and she has ADHD, and she was just like, why can I not do this? And I'm like, because sister, you're trying to like affix a single nozzle to a single dot, and it's just like you need to just like put it in a bag and shove it and goodbye, like good
Yep.
night. You're so busy, like
Yeah.
oh,
Even
what a
since
relief that was for
yeah.
her.
Yeah. Yep. Well, and then we do the when people are organizing on their own, they do those and then they set themselves up for not success and then they get discouraged because
Mhm.
they can't keep up with it, but it's because it's just too complicated to begin with and no one could keep up with it.
Exactly. Yeah, it's just some genius marketing ploy that somebody came up with at Pampered Chef or
Yeah.
something. No offense to anybody who's into Pampered Chef, but you know what I mean? Like the single use
Yeah.
kitchen gadget type of stuff is like, get it out of here.
Yeah.
We
Please.
don't want it. Oh
Simple.
my goodness.
Simple.
So, wrapping up here, I love asking this question as well. And I just appreciate variety of responses that I get to this question. I appreciate the heart and the generosity that everybody shares. I know that your response will be no different. No pressure, Becky, of course.
Oh God.
What advice? I know, right?
There's
What
not
advice would you give to somebody looking to start their own organizing business, especially when it comes to building client trust and delivering results that stand the test of time?
Yeah. So network. Start talking to people in your area. I think the one thing that I am really proud of is that I never paid for advertising or memberships of any kind. I did not have a big budget to start my company. So I truly started it with my website, Instagram, and then I was on Thumbtack for a hot second.
Mhm.
And just trusting in yourself that the more you're present, whether that's on social media, whether that's handing out flyers or going to networking groups, the more exposure that you can do, the better. And don't be hard on yourself when your first referral doesn't come for a year or
Mhm.
6 months from now. Like if you're starting today, it's going to take time to get clients. And what you can do now is organize for your friends, take before pictures, take after pictures, and then eventually, I mean, I'm still in year 3, but eventually all of your clients should be coming from other clients, which is just
Mm.
that's what we love, right? Like we want to know that people are talking about us. And then of course the most important thing is just have a support group for yourself. Know people that you can ask the questions to of how they run their business, how they do their business. You, like, obviously call you, or I guess not call you, but set up a phone call to talk
Yeah, you can.
to.
I might not answer, but you can certainly try. You could, Becky, you could call me.
Yeah,
We
thanks.
can chat.
Thanks. But just find your mentor. Find somebody that is willing to bounce ideas off of one another and just to be there to support you. And that could be another organizer, it could be friends, family, whoever. But don't feel defeated when you don't book a client the first week,
Mm.
the first month, the second month, whatever it is. Just keep working really, really hard to just get your face out there.
Yeah, that's great advice. I love all of it. And I do want to throw in a spontaneous shout out to our friend Jill Moore, who it's cute. I love the relationship that you and Jill have. And I want to highlight that because she lives in Winston-Salem,
Yeah.
North Carolina, and you live in Florida, so two different states, but we're all three of us are members of the American Society of Professional Organizers, and you guys had met beforehand. And Jill is that person for you that, if you need to sit on Zoom or on the phone and vent about, the tire kicking client who was really excited to buy your VIP package and then bailed at the last minute, which is like super frustrating. Like nobody's going to understand that better than your buddy. And so I just love that you guys have that relationship, and it's just the absolute best. And I feel like, and you can share that that's valuable for you, right?
100%. I would be absolutely lost if I did not have her. We celebrate our wins, we celebrate our losses, we keep each other in check. We also allow each other to be potatoes when we need to be potatoes. But, because sometimes we're just tired. We're already having a hard time, right? So, like, sometimes it's
Mhm.
okay for us to just not think about work for a while. But I love pushing her out of her comfort zone. And I love
Mhm.
that she unspirals me. Like literally when I'm having a meltdown of stuff that's going on, I can text her and vice versa. Like whenever she has her wins, we celebrate it. Whenever I have my wins, she celebrates it with me. And even if you have somebody in your same area, I mean, there's a ton of Orlando organizers who I freaking adore. I love all of them. It's fun to have that community and feel good that you can complain about someone not tossing or donating as much kitchen items as you wanted to that day, and someone else being like, yeah, I totally get it. Because when you talk to a friend or a family member, they're like, so what? It's not that big of a
Yeah,
deal.
cool.
Like, yeah. You're like, what do you mean it's not that big of a deal? Yes, it is. And so it's just funny. It's goofy. Yeah. But Jill, I absolutely love her to bits. And I don't think I would be here or as far as I am today without her. So I love my girl.
Mhm.
She's so great.
We love you, Jill. We
Yeah.
love you, Jill. Someday I'll get her to come on the show. I think she would rather eat like a bowl of sand or something than get in front of a camera. But I'm working on it. Like this is so funny. We have to show this to her afterwards.
Yeah. She really would. She would probably want to like cut off one of her limbs before she came on a podcast. And here I am, I'm like, it. I love talking. Show me, show me.
Yes, yes, well, we love it, and it's so important for people who are interested in the industry, especially to know what it's like and just have a space that feels good to nerd out about somebody not
Yeah,
getting rid of all the kitchen items or the latest organizing trends and whatnot because it's fun and we need it.
yeah, yeah.
So,
100.
you know, all right. Now, Miss Becky, I know that we were slightly underprepared for this, but I'm going to throw it out here at you just in case and see where we land. Maybe we edit it out, maybe we don't. I don't know. But here we go. Our fun James Lipton question. If your organizing style were a famous event or a party, what would it be and why? Have you thought of anything?
I don't know. I'll say, and this is so embarrassing because I don't know any events or parties. I'll say the Kentucky Derby because that's an event that I planned, but I just know that horse.
Oh,
I just know that horses race. So I guess we're gonna make it to the finish line. No pun intended.
hey, I love it. I love that off the cuff. I love that enthusiastic spirit. I love the Kentucky Derby. And if you're like racing to the finish line, whatever, you're going to do what it takes to get there and you're going to do it in style with your like beautiful hat and all the
Yeah,
floral, like bring it on. I
honestly,
love it.
now I kind of want to wear very large and in charge hats when I go to clients' houses because I feel like that would just add a little bit of flair about it.
Why not? You know what? If I could see anybody doing that and getting away with it and it increasing their bottom line for their business, it would probably be you, to be honest. So I like that we threw that out there. I didn't know. So you've planned the Kentucky Derby event, an event for that before?
Not the actual Kentucky Derby. We've had Kentucky Derby parties at around Milwaukee,
Gotcha.
around my hometown in Wisconsin. So no, don't make,
Oh yeah.
don't make me look that cool.
I still think that's pretty cool regardless. Yeah. Oh my goodness. That's really funny. Yeah. And you're back in Milwaukee right now. I don't remember
Yeah.
if we talked about that at the beginning of the show, but you're hunkering down while the hurricane recovery gets underway.
Yes. Yep. Planning on
Yeah.
being back next week. But yes, so if anybody is watching the YouTube, I am not a sports fan. My best friend's husband is. So I'm using his office. So go sports, everybody.
Not Becky's office. Oh my gosh. It's too funny. I love it so much.
I
Okay,
just have to
before yeah, well, before we were going to judge you and now we're not. So thank you for telling us.
yeah, I just love the snacks and the beer at the games. I don't really know who plays though. So
That's okay. As you said, go sports. I think that's the perfect note to end on, don't you, Becky? I would just, I want to say thank you
thank
for
you.
coming on the show. It's been a pleasure to have you. Before we go, I want to make sure that we plug your information so people can come get a hold of you. So where do we find your website, social media, all that good stuff?
Yeah. So website is happytohelporganizing.com. And then Instagram I'm more active on. So that's HTH_organizing. And then email is Becky with an I. Sorry, everybody. I didn't choose that. My parents did. Becky at happytohelporganizing.com.
Love it. Perfect. Make sure that we get in touch with you. Be sure to follow Becky on Instagram. Be sure to follow Jill. She's Organized Jill, just because why not? And then, of course, follow me, Becky. It was such a pleasure to have you. Thanks for coming on the show today.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.
So if you want to connect more with her, make sure that you head down to the description of the video and the podcast show notes. All of her information and her resources are there for you. So definitely take advantage of it, as she pointed out. And don't forget to connect with me for that one-on-one coaching call and take my Overlooked to Overbooked course. Listen, you guys, 40% of people in a survey that I just posted said that they struggle with getting clients. And that is exactly what Overbooked solves for you. So if you have any hesitation, you can always reach out to me to learn a little bit more about it. It's definitely a game changer for those who take it. You can check out my Pro Organizer Forms Pack. Just remember to head to ispeakorganized.com/courses. You can see all of the different course material, one-on-one coaching, and resources that I have available for you to really, truly help you make a go of this thing and do your business right, because I want you to succeed Your success is my success. As always, make sure that you are in that Facebook group so you can get those questions answered and be part of a thriving and growing community. And beyond that, hopefully at this point you're subscribed. If you're not, hit that subscribe button. And then I just hope you have an awesome day. And I'll see you guys in the next episode. Take care.